Okay. Now we will discuss different types of machine learning algorithms. So we have list of machine learning algorithms: linear regression, logistic regression, decision trees, naive-Bayes classifier, K nearest neighbor, artificial neural network, support vector machine, random forest, self-organization map, and so many others. So all these machine learning algorithms will be discussed with suitable examples. Now see, what is linear regression? So basically, linear regression is a method to find out the value of dependent variable based on independent variable. For example, just see, if you draw a straight line and equation is y is equal to ax plus b. So x is what? X is a independent variable and y is what? Y is a dependent variable. So x is independent variable and y is independent variables. So if you know this straight line, and you will also know the value of a and b, where y is what, where a is slope and b is the y intercept. So if you know the value of a and b, and if you know the for any particular value of x, you can get the value of y. So this is what the linear regression. So linear regression is nothing but such a equation which gives you the value of any independent any dependent variable based on independent variables. So suppose we have a large data set given, and uh, in data set we have some input as well as some output. So we just want to find out a linear relationship between the input and the output. So what will we do? We will just try to find out a best fit line which basically relates the input with the output. So here the input will be treated as x and output will be treated as y. So basically we find out a linear relationship, y is equal to ax plus b, something like that, where x is the input and y is the output. So if we are able to find out such a line, such an equation, then for any other unknown input x, we can find out the output y. So basically this linear regression, it is used to estimate the real values. So if you want to find out the cost of houses based on some previous records data, we want to find out the number of calls, we want to find out the total number of sales. So all these things, if you want to find out, so that can be find out with the help of linear regression. Basically it works on continuous variables. Here we establish a relationship between the independent and dependent variable by fitting the best line. It is not necessary that we have to exactly fit, we have to find out exactly fit line, but it can be somewhat best fit line. So the best fit line is known as regression line and represented by the linear equation y is equal to x plus b. Example, suppose if you are asking a child which is in 5th class, and we are asking him that, okay, these are the people, and arrange these people in the class, in his class, by increasing order of their weights. But you don't have to ask, you don't have to ask about their weights. So without knowing weights, how that child will be able to arrange those peoples in increasing order of their weight? So definitely he will assume that the person whose height is larger might he has larger weight. So as per the height, he will be able to arrange those people in increasing order of their weight. So basically he will try to find out the best line in between height and weight. So based on that equation, he will be able to relate that height with the weight, and then he will be able to arrange those people in increasing order of their weight. Just see here, we have we have a number of data set over here, where x-axis is height and y-axis is weight. So these are the records, or where we are able to just draw a regression line here. So how we will find out a best regression line. So best regression line will be by finding out by minimizing the sum of square differences. Just see here, these coefficients A and B are derived based on minimizing the sum of square differences of the distance between the data points and the regression line. Just see here, we will try to find out the distance between data point and the regression line, and similarly we will calculate all the distances, and then we will do a square of it, and then we will sum it. So so this step will be repeated until we get the minimized sum of square differences. So that line will be actually the best fit line. And now once we are able to find out this best fit line, we can find out the value of y-axis for any unknown value of x. So if we know the value of any x, so we can find out the corresponding value of y. Means if we know the height of any person, so correspondingly we can find out the weight of that person. So this is how the linear regression works. Next is logistic regression. Logistic regression basically it is not a regression, but it is a classification. So what is the difference between regression and classification? The regression is a method to find out the value of any dependent variable based on independent variable. So basically it gives you continuous value. It can be any value. It can have any kind of value, 2, 4, 5, 6, 12, 12, 13, and even in alphabets also. While in case of classification, it will have some like yes or no kind of problem, decision, yes or no kind of decision, true or false kind of decision. So this is the difference between the regression and the classification. So logistic regression actually is not a regression, but is a classification, because this method gives the output in the form of yes or no, in the form of 0 or 1, in the form of true or false. So that is why it is a classification method. So it is used to estimate the discrete values, binary values, 0 or 1, yes or no, true or false. So based on given set of independent variables. So in simple words, it predicts the probability of occurrences of an event by fitting the data to a logit function. Just see here the nature of this logit function. So it basically is enclosed between two lines, that is the 0 and y is equal to 0 and y is equal to 1. So it is basically clamped between these two lines, y is equal to 1 and y is equal to 0. So and it gives the output in the form of probability between 0 and 1. Since it predicts the probability, its output values lies between 0 and 1, and based on that we get the output. So this is the logit regression. Now next is decision trees. Tree basically will have a root and it will have some branches. So basically here decision tree will be a inverted tree. So we will start from the root, and then it will have the further branches. So it is a type of supervised learning algorithm that is mostly used for the classification purpose. This is being used for the classification, whether this is a man or this is a woman, whether this is a boy, this is a child, whether this is a student or this is outsider of the college. So this is what the decision tree can give output. So surprisingly, it works for both the categorical and the continuous dependent variables. So in this algorithm, we split the population into two or more homogeneous sets. So a decision tree looks like an inverted tree, wherein each node represents a predictor variable. That is a feature, and the link between the nodes represents a decision, and finally the each leaf node represents an outcome, that is the response variable. Just see here, each internal node is called predictor variable. So basically where we see the conditions in order to for the prediction, the link between the nodes, that is basically gives us the decision. So basically yes in the form of yes or no, in the form of true or false. So this basically gives the decision, and finally the leaf node, that is the dead end of the decision tree. At the dead end of the decision tree, what we find out, what we get the response variable, we get the outcome of variable of the problem. So for it can be better understood by a very good example. For example, you have hosted a huge party, and in that party, uh, vegetarian people, there is an arrangement for both vegetarian and non-vegetarian people also. So the question is, the you you want to know how many of your guests were non-vegetarian. So here we will use decision tree to find out how many guests were non-vegetarian in our party, his party. Just see here, this is a decision tree. So uh, it may decision tree, the height or the depth of the decision tree will be depends upon the how many types of non-vegetarian food was built in your party. So basically here three kinds of non-vegetarian food. So the chicken, then mutton, and then seafood. So first the root node has a predator variable that did the guest eat chicken. If he has eaten chicken, it means yes, then he is non-vegetarian. If no, then it will again check another case for non-vegetarian food. The another food is mutton. So did the guest eat mutton? If yes, then the guest is non-vegetarian. If no, then again it will check for the another case of non-vegetarian food, that is seafood. So did the guest eat seafood? If yes, then non-vegetarian. Otherwise, vegetarian. So this is how the decision tree can be used for the classification. So and for the edges which are linked as S, just see here the leaf node, non-veg. These are the outcomes. These are the response variables which tells us whether that person is vegetarian or non-vegetarian. So decision tree that classifies a guest as either vegetarian or non-vegetarian. So each node represents a predictor variable that will help to conclude whether or not a guest is a non-vegetarian. So as you traverse down the tree, you must make decision at each node until you reach a dead end, that is a leaf node, which gives the decision. So this is what the decision tree based classification. So another method is naive based classifier. So already we have discussed about the base classification, which is probabilistic based classification method. So where we don't have exact information, we don't have 100% certain information, we have some part of uncertainty in that data. So in that case we use naive based classifier. So what we do here, we just find out the probability of happening of any event, occurring of any event, and if that probability is very much high, then we can say that the probability of occurring that event is very much high. So in that case we can classify our prediction in the form of yes or no. So the probability, suppose we are taking a threshold value 70%, if the probability comes above 70%, then we can say yes, the event will occur, and if it is below 70%, then we can say okay, the event may not occur. Or it can be reduced also, it can be taken as a 50% also, 0.5 probability, 0.5 also. So based on the Bayes theorem, with an assumption of independence between the predictors, so that this point already we have discussed in Bayes theorem. So it assumes that the presence of a particular feature in a class is unrelated to the presence of any other feature. So for example, a fruit may be considered to be an apple if it is red, if it is round, and it is about 3 inches in diameter. So naive-Bayes classifier, what it assumes, that all these 3 attributes are independent to each other. It may be that they are dependent, but it always assumes that these features are independent to each other, and this helps in calculating the probability, posterior probability of occurring of that event, and basically the calculation and the calculation complexity becomes very much easier. Now, even if these features depend on each other or upon the existence of other features, a naive-Bayes classifier would consider all of these properties to independently contribute to the probability of that this fruit is apple. So naive-Bayes model is very easy to build and particularly useful for very large amount of data. So if you have a large amount of data set, so naive-Bayes classifier works very well, very good. So along with simplicity, naive-Bayes is known to outperform even highly sophisticated classification methods. So this has been proved. So this is how in this classification the Bayes theorem applies. So Bayes theorem says the PC by X, that is the posterior probability. Px by is the likelihood of the probability C, probability of X given the class C, where X is what? X is the predictor variable. C is the target class. C is the probability of the class, that is the target. So C is the target and X is the predictor variable. And P of C, that is the class prior probability, and P of X is the predictor prior probability. So basically these things are already we have discussed in our previous lectures. So this is how we can find out the posterior probability of occurring of any event C based on for a given X. X is what? The predictor variable. For example, we have a training data set of weather. So we have a training data set available. Weather conditions are given and corresponding target variable. The play means the play was played or not in the form of yes or no is given. Now we need to classify whether the players will play or not based on weather conditions. So just see here. In this example, we have how many? 14 cases are given. These are the prior cases given. The prior cases are 14 cases given. When the weather was sunny, the match was played no. When the weather was overcast, then match was played yes. So yes or no in the form of yes or no. These 14 examples are given of the prior examples are given. So based on these examples, we have to find out, we have to predict whether the match will played or not for a particular season, for a particular weather. Just see here, based on this given data, we will find out a frequency table. Just see here, if the weather condition is overcast, so then S condition 4 times. If weather condition is rainy, so the match was played 2 times, but could not be played 3 times. If the weather is sunny, then match could not played 2 times and was played 3 times. Overall for this given data set, we have 5 cases for match was not played, and there are 9 cases for which the match was played. So this is what the frequency table. Now we will find out the likelihood tables, the probability of occurring the event, means the probability of happening the cricket play. So if the overcast weather, the number of count of yes is 4, so probability is what? Since there are 14 matches played, so 4 divided by 14, that is 0.29 probability of likelihood of playing yes, likelihood of playing happening the event in overcast season. Similarly for rainy season, similarly for sunny season also. Overall 3 plus 2, 5 divided by 14, that is 0.36. So these are the likelihood probabilities for happening of the event for all these weather conditions. Now the question is, players will play if the weather is sunny. Is this statement is correct or not? So this has to be proved with the help of Bayesian classification. So what we want to find out? We want to find out the players will play, the match will play. So we want to find out probability of S. If the weather is sunny and condition is given, the predictor variable is given sunny. So we want to find out probability of S given the condition is sunny. So using Bayes theorem, this is equal to probability of sunny oblique yes into probability of yes divided by probability of sunny. So these things are already calculated over here. Probability of sunny given yes means the match was played. This is given, the match was played. So what is the probability that the weather is sunny? Just see here, match was played sunny. For the sunny case, frequency table, just see here, frequency table, the match was played for sunny cases 3 times played. So yes condition is 3 times, and weather is sunny. So this is what 3. Oral how many times? Oral 9 times was played. So if we count overall count yes for all the weather, so it gives 9. So how much probability? 3 by 9. So it gives you 0.33. Now P sunny. For sunny cases we have how many cases? Just see in the likelihood table. Just see 3 plus 2 5. So 5 times event occurred. So 5 how many times? 5 times sunny season was there. So in 5 times sunny season, sunny weather out of 14, 5 divided 14, 0.36. Now probability of yes said how many times the match was played for all the weather condition. So yes, if you just see here, the frequency table, total number of count of yes is what? 9. So 9 total matches played to 14. So this gives you P probability of yes is equal to 9 by 14.64. Just by putting these values to our base theorem equation, we get 0.60, which is very much higher probability. So it is above 0.5 probability, 50%. So we can say that 60% chances are there the match will play. So I think this statement is correct using the Bayesian classifiers. Now the next is K nearest neighbor classifier. This is very good classifier, very simplest classifier, where we find out the distance between any unknown input with the given input data set. So suppose if we are 100 data sets are given, and we are asked to find out if 100 data sets are given, and there are suppose 100 classes are also there, and an unknown input is given to us, and we have been asked whether this unknown input belongs to which class. So what we will do, we will just try to find out the distance of this unknown input with all those 100 inputs given data sets, and whichever the smallest distance we will get. Suppose we get the smallest distance with the data number 20. So we can say that this unknown input is very much similar to the data number 20. So this is the nearest neighbor classification. But what is K nearest neighbor classification? So in case of K nearest neighbor, we will just try to find out the top K smallest distances. Suppose we have find out the 100 distances. So we will arrange these distances in increasing order of the values. So the first one will be the smallest distance, the second is smallest, then the third is smallest. So we will choose the top most smallest distances, and then we see the highest voting percentage. Suppose a class may have more than one data set. It may be possible that. So the top K means if the value of K is 5, the top 5 smallest distances will be chosen. In out of those 5 distances which has majority of the voting to particular class, class will be declared as the class of that unknown input. So this is what the K nearest neighbor classification. So just see here, it can be better understood by a very smart example. Suppose you want to learn about a person to whom you don't know anything. You don't have any kind of information about a person. You want to learn about him. You want to know about him, how that person is. That person is good and that person is bad. So what you will do, you will just try to find out his close friends. Suppose if he has 20 close friends, so we will try to meet out them, and we will ask, how is that person. So if out of 20, if suppose the majority of the close friends have tell about him that he is a good person, then you will declare that, you will say that that he is the good person. So out of 20, suppose 15 people have said that he is very good person. So since you know, and 5 remaining five I told, okay, he is not a good person, since you have seen the majority of the voting always wins. So since out of 20, 15 has told a positive response, so you can say that, oh, okay, that person is a good person. So this is how the k nearest neighbor, here the value of k is what? Value of k is 15. So this is how the k nearest neighbor classification works.